he's going to come and share a little bit about.
Thank you, brother. Thank you
Absolutely.
so much. Well, thank you all for today. It is exciting. Greater Birmingham area. So just are and what we do. One, as a disciple with local Save. Born and bred, and still this is still home, although we have expanded into 19 states now. So what we do is we come alongside local churches to equip them for gospel ministry to vulnerable children and women and families. So we have resources for the local church that allows them to come alongside those families in their community, those families in their church family who are fostering, who are adoptive, or who are considering that. We still do pregnancy ministry as well, partnering with pregnancy centers for education on adoption, and being able to impact those families that come and seek their services with the gospel as well. We also have expanded into a global orphan care ministry, which is partnering with international ministries who are caring for the vulnerable in their own communities. And we want to take those relationships that we have and partner them up with churches like yours here domestically for international missions opportunities and ministry opportunities and partnerships. And then we also serve foster and adoptive families through education and counseling services. So we do have counseling services here in Birmingham. We have different education services. So one is that we help families who may be in need of individualized education plans for their children, or IEPs. We have a team of tutors who help with that. We have specialists who help with kids in that have experienced trauma, and helping to reconnect some of the severed connections in their brain because of the trauma that exists in their life. And so we have a great opportunity, great ministries. Those 5 different areas. We still do adoption services as well, domestically and internationally, in 19 different countries. Right now as part of our offering. But we do have a lot of church-based resources specifically for the church to be able to either get trained in, to roll out in their church family and in their community, or just general resources to help gain knowledge of what is ministry to the vulnerable populations that exist in your community all the way around the ends of the world. So one of those areas that we have for your church to be able to get involved in is a ministry that's called Care Portal. It's a partnership with an organization called the Global Orphan Project. And so Care Portal, I'm not going to steal Ashley's thunder. I'll let her take her own thunder, but I just wanted to quickly introduce Care Portal as one of those great ways for your church to engage in local missions, local ministry to those families that are in need. And so I just wanted to give a quick update on who we are at Lifeline. You have a book in your chair or next to you that is full of QR codes, and you can hit those with your camera to see a little bit more about the different areas of ministry that we have. If you are interested in specifically one or more of those areas, or if you have other questions, you can come and see me or Ashley. We would love to talk with you some more about that. And then that sheet of paper that is loose, Ashley's going to hit on that some more on what all of that means that's on that paper. So without any further ado, I do want to bring up Ashley Turton, who is our manager of Church and Community Connections, which basically means she runs Care Portal for us. So she is in charge of that here in the Birmingham area, and she's going to tell you a lot more about that and how to get involved in it.
Yes, thank you so much. And thank you all for coming today. We're excited to share this opportunity. It's a great way for your church to get involved in serving within your own community. Because of course not every church is going to be right in this downtown Birmingham area, but we have churches all over. And so Care Portal does really exist to help meet needs of vulnerable children within your own community. And so I'm going to share a little bit about this platform. I have a presentation and a video I'll kind of walk through. So really today I'm going to explain what Care Portal is, how it works, and then how your church can get involved with this. And so everyone can see my screen here, and if at any point you have a question, feel free to raise your hand or ask it, because this is a great platform, so I want to make sure everyone understands the simplicity of how to onboard with this and just be aware of the needs in your community. So Care Portal, it exists. I know Tim touched on it a little bit. So Lifeline, we did not create the system. I wish we could say we did because it's phenomenal, but it did originate in Kansas City, Missouri, where the Go Project, like he mentioned earlier, someone over there saw a need for child serving professionals to have a platform that was allowing them to connect with churches easier. Because in the past, there's always been opportunities. Can everyone hear me okay without the microphone? Just making sure. I realized I'm like...
Your live stream.
Oh, perfect. Thank you. I will stick to my microphone, just pulling it down a little bit. So pretty much when Care Portal got started, the goal was that, hey, churches want to help. Agencies need help. There's been a gap because churches sometimes do have that question of how can we help DHR? What does that look like? Is there red tape or are there boundaries? And so that has created this complicated system where really the goal is communication and connection. So Care Portal really does exist to build meaningful connections. The goal is that the church is the hands and feet. They deliver the items to these families in crisis. They're able to provide community where families feel isolated and just wrap around, follow up with them, invite them to church. And that's really the hope of Care Portal, is that connection piece, all through meeting a tangible need. So as we get going, if you guys do have questions on that, please let me know. So Care Portal, really, it's a connecting technology, and it drives action for local children and families in crisis. And so every request that gets entered into Care Portal from DHR, pregnancy resource centers, school social workers, or it could even be an organization that their main job is to work primarily with children. Any child-serving professional that enters that need, they're entering a tangible need for a family in crisis. And we always like to reiterate that because these needs are all vetted, and they're always going to be a priority need. It's never going to be, oh, this family wants an iPad, or they need this. It's, hey, what does this family need this week to make it to next week? And that's really the goal of Care Portal, is it's not going to be an agency's first resort, but it's going to be, hey, we're finding additional resources, but this is something this family truly needs to stay together. And so that's kind of how Care Portal starts out and functions. So we'll watch this video real quick. It kind of gives an overarching introduction of what it is and kind of how it works.
Every year, Child Protective Services are alert to more than 7 million kids with concerns of maltreatment. These reports have led to nearly 400,000 kids being removed from their homes and placed in an overburdened foster care system, most of them for preventable reasons. The foster care system impacts more than you could think. It is gut-wrenching to look into the backgrounds of our homeless neighbors, of those who are incarcerated, and of women and girls rescued from sex trafficking rings. What we see is so many of them spent time in foster care. It's all related, folks. That's why we believe that solving the foster care crisis in our nation is our best strategy for social change. It's a place where our combined efforts can have the greatest impact on our communities. And so many of you already care about these issues. Whether you're a church or a business or community leader, you would help a child if you saw them in trouble. But our most vulnerable neighbors aren't always visible. Care Portal is a care-sharing technology that drives action for kids and families in crisis. It offers the connection that we need to put our individual networks and resources together and make the most vulnerable children our priority. And here's how it works. Caseworkers encounter needs of children in crisis every single day, whether they work in child welfare or education, law enforcement, or community resource centers. Once a need is identified by one of these professionals, Care Portal provides an easy way for it to go through a review and approval process within their organization. After that, Care Portal immediately makes local churches and community members aware of the need, giving them a real-time opportunity to collaborate and respond. Through Care Portal, we are closer than ever to the ones who need our help. The platform is designed to equip and empower local churches to make meaningful connections at the point of care, and to allow anyone in the community to work together on any request. So whether it's one church that responds, or a community of churches and businesses and individuals working together, Care Portal makes it possible for there to be more than enough care for every child through the power of care sharing in local communities.
So many of our children and families in child welfare are isolated. They don't have a support system. Care Portal can provide not only the physical needs for the children and relationships.
I look at Care Portal as a platform for us to be able to do ministry across denomination lines, across racial lines, across social economic lines, and the mission field is in our backyard.
Care Portal creates generosity-forward supply chains that get the right people involved at the right time, servicing and solving the types of immediate needs that place families at risk and making meaningful connections that can lead to life transformation. By creating radical access to immediate needs, the community is empowered to step in. Caseworkers request. People and organizations respond, neighbor by neighbor, neighbor to neighbor. We prevent the preventable. It's the power of care sharing at work. Connection changes everything, and it's closer than ever before.
Great. I always love to just introduce that video. Let's see if I can get my computer to go to the next slide. And so that video really uncovers what Care Portal looks like in a community. And I know it touches on the church and community partners. And that's where there is a difference that we'll kind of touch on, because the church will always be the point of care for these families, which is why the church is so needed for Care Portal, because these needs, they're there. DHR is trained and they are entering the needs. It's just whether we have churches in that area able to respond and come alongside these families. And so the church will always be that point of contact, always be the point of care for these families. But there are also the community aspects of it, where I know we just talked earlier about the Grace Place. And that is an organization here that provides resources, that has a food closet, not a food closet, yes, but then a clothing closet. And then they have furniture. And so they're able to be a part of this network as an organization where they can say, hey, we have the furniture, but it's going to connect them to the closest church to that family, so the church can pick up the stuff, deliver it to the family, because that is where the community is going to come in to wrap around this family, pray with them, and bring them alongside and invite them to church. And that's really the hope of this. And so the way DHR gets involved with this, or pregnancy resource centers, school social workers, even police officers can be in the Care Portal system. And so what they do is they're the ones on the field every day. I mean, I don't know if y'all know about Jefferson County DHR right now, but they are not a lot of hands helping, but a lot of kids on their caseloads. And that has become an overarching crisis in Jefferson County. There are so many children, so many vulnerable children in need right now over there, and there's just not enough caseworkers to help the need. And so one big thing is that this platform, although it's serving these families and these children, it's also being such a help to these caseworkers. For the church to step in and bring that support for the caseworkers as well, it makes them feel like, oh, we trust the church is helping us. And that creates a beautiful partnership between the church and the agency as well. And so when DHR or a pregnancy resource center or any other child-serving professional sees a need, whether on the field, whether they get a call and there's someone approving it, they're going to uncover that need firsthand. And that's where you see that that first step is how everything gets started. So they uncover the need, they vet the need, and then they submit that need directly into the Care Portal platform. From there, they're going to put a story or a description. They're going to share these specifics on clothing sizes or details, and it's going to go directly into the Care Portal platform, and then someone's going to approve that need going out. So then you see that it's going to alert churches once they hit approve, and it's going to share it with churches within 15 miles of that church. So if a family in crisis is needing help, and your church is within 15 miles, you'll get an email notification saying, hey, there's a request right near your church. It could alert just your church. It could also alert 5 other churches. And we want that to happen. If it is a list of 3 beds, 2 couches, groceries, clothing, one church, yes, you can definitely choose to meet that need, but what would it look like if a network of churches work together to get that need met for that family? And that's really the heart and the hope in Care Portal, is that it is not just a platform for us to check a box and help a family. It's let's build a network in a community to serve the families in our own communities. So it's going to alert your church with the need. From there, your church has the opportunity to respond directly, where there's an orange Yes, I Can Help button. So if you saw on this email alert, hey, this child needs clothing size 5T. My daughter just outgrew that clothing. size. I have gently used items that I would love to contribute and take to this family. We want that to be the case. We want it to be something where you can participate but not feel pressured to meet every need in the system. And so gently used items are always recommended. Of course, we have community partners that may contribute financially where they sponsor a request and your church gets a notification. Well, you're able to claim those funds and go purchase brand new items for this family and still deliver and be the hands and feet. So your church gets alerted of these needs, and you're able to help if you can. From there, this is kind of a basic response option, and y'all bear with me. I'm like trying to talk in the mic, but also look at that little screen right there. But the basic response option is you got that email alert. From there, you would review the request details, the story of what's going on, the items needed, and then you would hit that Yes, I Can Help button if you feel like someone in your church can help. Now, the good thing about Care Portal is you're not going to be the sole person doing it. If you're a pastor in the room, if you really want to, you can do it, but we don't necessarily want the pastors to do it because you already have so much on your shoulders to do. The hope is that this is lay-led. It's a great opportunity to really call out leadership in someone within your church to step in and do this. And also it allows for them to build a response team of members that may have gently used items and just want to be aware of the needs in their community. And so typically this is lay-led, or it could be a staff member that their primary role is not, everything else in the church. And so we just want to make sure that churches know this isn't something that goes on to your staff. This is something that someone within your congregation can easily implement, build a healthy response team. And really those response team members are raising their hand to say, I want to be aware of the needs close to us and I want to help when I can. And so they would hit that Yes, I Can Help button if they have that item or want to go purchase it. And from there, they would check the specific items on that request. So if they can only provide a mattress, that's great. If they don't have the bed frame or they don't have sheets, that's okay, but they can still check the box for the mattress. They would just say, hey, I can help, and then hit provide. Now that fund option, you will see it, and we'll talk a little bit about that. The fund option is if you have someone in your church that says, I don't really feel like I can deliver the items or go out and buy that at the store, but I feel like I want to give financially $50 toward this clothing. That's great. There's an option for them to fund that clothing on the request. It still allows your church to meet the need, but it's going to prompt someone on your team to claim the funds and then go and purchase the item and deliver it. And so your team can work together to make sure that happens. Now that fund option is also for our community partners. And I know we'll probably get to it and touch on it, but we have a community partner, Auburn Football. They are one of our biggest community partners, and they are only meeting needs in Alabama. So right now that's amazing because they have a sum of money that the players get together once a week at their team meeting, either a Monday or a Thursday, and they actually look through these Care Portal requests in Birmingham, and they see the needs, they see the stories, and they decide which request they're going to fund. So they may fund a request for 3 beds, 2 dressers, and that's all they're doing. They're saying, hey, we want to contribute financially to this request and make a difference. But if your church is the closest church to that family, it's going to alert you to say, hey, Auburn Football is willing to fund this. Do you want to take the lead and claim those funds? And then your church has what's called a Care Portal card. It's like a reloadable Visa gift card, where as soon as you say, yes, thank you so much, Auburn Football, we want to claim the funds and go deliver and buy these items. Those funds go directly on that Care Portal card, where you just get to go buy the items, be the hands and feet, and just love on that family and say, hey, we're a church down the road and we just want to come alongside and support you. And so that is what that fund option typically means. And if any church is interested in a funding piece, we can always talk about that later. So this is what a request looks like. And I did screenshot this from my own personal email because I just feel like live demonstrations are a lot easier than just explaining it over this microphone. But you'll see on there, when I screenshot an email, that's what it looks like. You're going to get an urgency level. So this one can be met within 7 to 10 days. And that means, hey, this family's okay for this amount of time. Now, if you saw one that said critical, 24 hours, that means, hey, these parents may be on the brink of losing their kids to foster care, so they need this item tomorrow to keep the family together. That purpose statement is crucial because if you see help prevent a child entering from foster care, or help a child from entering foster care, you're going to know, hey, this is a situation where that biological family, they're trying to stay together. And so if we help, that's going to contribute to those kiddos staying in that home. That purpose statement could also be help preserve a foster care placement, where in situations like that, this foster parent, they might have lost their job and they're trying to pay for groceries and school clothing and they just need an extra hand. If you see one that says help make a foster care placement, we had one of these come through recently, and it was phenomenal to see the church response. And it was for a new set of foster parents, and they had signed up to take newborns. Well, it turns out there was a sibling set of, I would say like one 11 age, one 15 age, and this couple just felt like, hey, we should take these siblings so they can stay together. And so what they needed were twin beds, they needed clothing for these kids, they needed hygiene products. Like, they were not prepared for these kiddos this age. And so, I mean, they were trying to place these kids the next day. Like, it was a critical request. So, of course, I see it, and I'm like, 2 beds? I'm like, oh, can we get it done? And sure enough, the church showed up, and Auburn had funded that request. So then the church said, wow, God is good. They claimed the funds, went and bought these beds, delivered them, put them together, just in time for these kiddos to be placed together in one home. And if that is not a picture of just how amazing the church is when they come together, I mean, I'm still like blown away that these kiddos, because a lot of times in foster care, if there's a sibling set and they can't find placement, they split the siblings up. And so for these siblings to get to stay together was a huge blessing. And so that's one of the requests you may see come through of help make a foster care placement. And there's always going to be a story. So you can see there a little bit of a story. You'll see the list of items, and then you'll see a zip code on there. That zip code is going to indicate, is this near your church? If you get the email alert, odds are it's within 15 miles of your church. If you do not get an email, that means it's not within your church radius. And that's because we want the closest church to be the one witnessing and taking these items to the family. So this is the basic response option. So you'll see on there that there's the story, the list of items, and if you wanted to help, you would hit yes, I can help. You would check the box of the items that you could help with. Whether you have 1 or 2 of the quantity, you would change that number to fit what you can help with. And then you would type that basic response option in that box below, just saying, hey, we're willing to donate these items and drive it to the family this week. Just send me the contact information for that family. Now then you would choose provide or fund. Typically most church response team will hit provide because you're willing to go get the items and take them to the family. That fund option again is for if someone in your congregation says, I want to contribute money toward this need, and someone else can go and get the items and deliver it. So as soon as you hit that provide option, you're going to immediately get an email alert saying thank you for responding. It's going to say, hey Tim, thank you for responding on behalf of your church. These are the items that you committed to help with, but this is where that connection piece is huge. So because this is a public site, we don't want this family's private information being posted on the request. So this is that connection piece where ministry can happen outside of just the family and you. So you're given that caseworker's information. That you see that up there, it says the caseworker's name, their number, and their email address. That is a huge honor. And truth be told, us, as the church, being able to serve these families that they care so deeply for is a huge honor. They trust the church to do this. And so you're given their information. Simultaneously, that caseworker is given your information. So that caseworker is trained on Care Portal. They know to reach out directly to whoever is meeting the need, provide them with the family that they're serving's name, address, and phone number. And that's where that connection and logistics can happen, where you as the church reach out directly to the family that needs help, and you say, hey, I have this item for you. I would love to bring it by this week. When works for you? And that's when you're able to then deliver the items, meet the family, follow up with them. Y'all, some of our best churches, they have this tactic where they go above and beyond, and that's really what we strive to do. Is a church makes that initial connection point, but then a week or 2 later, they follow up and say, hey, I'm just checking in. What can I pray for? Is there anything else you may need this week? And that's where that organic relationship starts to form. So this is what that looks like when you respond. And of course, from here, you're really just getting the family's contact information and delivering those items straight to the family. And so, of course, there's always best practices. So there is a training piece that as you find your point person, is what we call them in your church, someone passionate about this kind of thing, and they start building their team of, it could be 3 people, it could be 25 people, it could be 70 people in your church if you want. It could be your whole congregation. That's okay. So they would go through a basic training. It's about an hour, and there's videos on dignity, poverty, and trauma. And we have those in place so that people feel well equipped to go and serve and do ministry and serve these families. That's not to say people might not have experienced that type of thing before, or maybe they've served in that capacity. It's just to make sure, hey, you feel comfortable serving in areas where you may have had an understanding of poverty being financial. That is not the case. There is spiritual poverty, relational poverty, emotional poverty, and we want people that are responding in Care Portal to have that knowledge and education before going and serving these families. So we always go through that, and best practices are always, we tell people to go 2 by 2. That's one that I actually hold very highly because I have done it by myself before, and it is not as easy to do a delivery by yourself when you're 5'1" and not very big and you're trying to get stuff out of the car. But going 2 by 2 is also just keeping everyone accountable and making sure that there is no room for any kind of question or thing going on. And I mean, y'all, it's one of those where if you see a single mom is in the request and you say, hey, me and my guy friend, we're going to deliver it. Well, odds are, maybe let's bring a female along because she might be able to relate to that mom better. So it's just looking and knowing these requests, avoiding assumptions, seek to serve, calling that caseworker because they are the professional, and then always prioritizing dignity. So these are some of the principles we go over during that training with your church members. And so this is the piece where, and I have this up here mainly to talk about the agency workers and the opportunity it presents. Because agency workers, they are working long and hard hours. They're on call over the weekends. I've had caseworkers tell me they had to go and pick up a child at 2 a.m, wait with them in the office while they called family to see if anyone was there to take these kiddos. And they don't have a food voucher. They're just having to Uber food themselves. So these caseworkers are doing some really hard work. And that is why that turnover rate is so immensely big. And so with the agency workers having this platform to utilize, one, it helps them with the families. It allows these families to go, oh, I trust you as my caseworker. You're actually seeking out resources to help me and not just come in and take my kids away, because sometimes that's kind of the stigma around DHR is they're coming to remove my children. Well, that's not the hope of DHR. Their goal is they want families to stay together, and so this resource provides that for these caseworkers to give an option for that. They're very resourceful. If you ask any caseworker, say the first day they start their job, when you say, hey, why did you get into this work? Every single one of them have told me because they want to help families. They want to help kiddos. But over time, they start to lose that and get burnt out, and they see extremely hard things. And so for caseworkers to have the church come alongside and just give a light into the dark situations they step into, it changes how these caseworkers view these families and these kiddos. And so that ministry opportunity outside of serving these children and families goes way beyond that. We have a church, Redeemer Church downtown, and they actually have a foster care ministry that's thriving there. Well, they actually seek out opportunities to go to DHR and serve the workers there. So one of them, she's phenomenal. She sends out a letter to churches all over. Some of y'all may have gotten one, I'm not sure. But she sends out letters saying, hey, do you want to sponsor a month where you can come and just love on caseworkers, bring donuts, park a food truck outside. And these caseworkers, they look forward to those because it gives a morale boost in the office of, hey, like, we're not just coming in every day to do this hard work where we're not seen, we're not valued all the time. We don't hear it all the time from supervisors because they're also burnt out and busy. But the church sees them, the church appreciates them. So the opportunity in Care Portal goes beyond serving families, meeting tangible needs. It provides that connection piece for agencies and kids, agencies and families, agencies and churches, and all of the in-between pieces. That is really the goal, is that connection piece. So these are some of our local requesting partners. In Shelby County, we have our PRC, so our Pregnancy Resource Centers. DHR is trained in every single county, Jefferson, St. Clair, and Shelby. And then, of course, our school social workers. So in Jefferson County, y'all have what's called a CARES team. And it's made up of a group of social workers that are assigned certain school systems where they're being fed, hey, these kids they need resources, these families need resources. So Birmingham City Schools and Jefferson County Schools have social workers trained to enter needs they see in schools. Grace Klein, Lifeline Children's Services, Alabama Health Connect. So that is more of our therapeutic foster homes. For some of the kiddos that come in that have higher medical needs. So Health Connect America can help provide foster homes that are trained specifically for that. And then group homes. Alabama Baptist Children's Home and Urban Hope Development. These are all great agency partners that are able to enter needs that they encounter every single day. And so this is one that I just think is phenomenal. And so our local impact since last year, right before Thanksgiving, we kind of launched Shelby County first to test the waters, see how it was going to go. And then we onboarded Jefferson and St. Clair around January of last year, or this year. And so far, they've already served over 272 children with an economic impact of $153,597. That changes every day, because these requests, we're getting requests every day, and the more churches we have on board, the more requests can come in. Because right now, DHR, if they open the floodgates for requests, because they see them, our churches would be overwhelmed with the amount of needs. And so there's a balance of, as we onboard more churches and agencies, we can start to have them put more requests in. And so 95 requests have been met by churches, and then 97.94% of these requests have been met by churches. I know, it's amazing to see that the response rate is just phenomenal. We have had far and few requests that go unmet, and the national average is 70 to 80% of requests getting met by churches. So Alabama has just blown me away with the response rate of churches just wanting to help and serve the vulnerable children. So, yeah. Right now we have listed in the account 22, but 4 of them are pending activation. So when you sign up to be in Care Portal, you just enroll your church, you're in pending status, but it allows you to view the dashboard, kind of see it. But until your church has a team, whether 3 people, 5 people, 70 people, you're in pending status until there's a group ready to be trained. And as soon as that group is trained, or you have a point person that says, I'm going to take leadership and just do this, I'm going to take charge, I'm going to build the team, then we can activate your church to start seeing the requests. That's just in Birmingham. So we're also active and launched in Pike County. So up in the Troy area, we have, I think, like 3 or 4 churches that are active in that county, and DHR in Pike County is putting needs into. So yeah, it's a great question, though. Were there any other questions so far? If not, that's great. So that's really kind of today's presentation was more of that overview, sharing what it looks like to see the needs, what it looks like to enroll. I will show you guys kind of what the platform looks like. Again, y'all bear with me because I wish I could say I had 20/20 vision. So, but when we go up here, I think that's it. Oh, no, that's not it. That's not it either. You guys are seeing all of my mail. I don't know if y'all heard that before. Okay, so this is a church dashboard. So it looks pretty small. Maybe it's just that one. So this is Indian Springs First Baptist Church. So you can see here that every church right here, that's the number of requests received. This is the number of requests met by the church, and then this is how many children they have served. So in this system, as your church continuously starts to meet these needs, you're able to see the impact your church is making. You can even see the economic impact that it's had on your community through your church meeting needs. And then, of course, you're able to get individuals to sign up through this link. Do y'all have any questions so far? I'm trying not to dig too deep into the weeds of Care Portal system, but just want to really lay the foundation and curiosity from you guys to see about what it would look like to implement this in your church, because there is a need here in Birmingham for churches, especially in the Jefferson County area. We have a tremendous amount of caseworkers entering needs every day, and we, truth be told, just need churches that are willing to say yes to seeing these needs and helping when they can. So yeah, any questions? Yeah, absolutely. I don't know off the top of my head. I could probably look at our list, or if I don't know if Tim, if you're able to look through the list, but I can definitely send that out to everyone. I know we have quite a few in Jefferson County, so I would assume the majority of them are probably affiliated with the BMBA at some degree. Yeah. Yep. So that training is very simple because, truth be told, it's just me. So really, when your I know it's funny. So when your church signs up, you'll probably I get an email alert saying if Ridgecrest signed up. Ridgecrest signed up for Care Portal. My next step is to reach out to you and set up a time to talk with your point person or the individual that you think should be the one spearheading this in your church. From there, I would just get them set up in the system, say, hey, your next step is to build a healthy response team. But if you go back today and you sign up and you get your person and she says or he says, hey, I got a group of 3 people, could you come train a group at my church? Absolutely. I would be happy to come on a Sunday or a Wednesday or whenever works to train a group of people. Just because we know churches, the majority of the time when people are in your church is Sundays and Wednesdays. So making it convenient for you guys to get onboarded and do this, even if it's a Wednesday night and you just want your congregation to hear about Care Portal to see if there's interest, I'm always happy to come and do an interest meeting with your congregation.